Hey y'all, how y'all doing? So this is January 1st, 2023, and for my first video in this year, I wanted to share with you my top 3 books that I read in 2022. Now this right here, this is my book tracker journal. I only started tracking the books that I read in 2016. I've always been an avid reader, but and this is what I've read in 2022. And you see these little diamonds I put in there. Those are the books that I really like. And I'm going to talk to you about actually 4 of them today. So the first one is, let me get the picture up on my iPad. I don't always save the books I read because I have like 5 bookcases in my 2-bedroom apartment, and for space, oh, that looks weird, space reasons, I don't keep all of the books that I read, and plus I like to encourage other people to read, so I often give books to people who I think would like them when I'm done with them. Okay, the first book is Love and Other Curses by Michael Thomas Ford. This is the cover of the book. I don't still have it, so that's why I'm showing you a picture. And then I want to read you the description of the book. I pulled it up before this video. Okay. This is the description of the book. The wayward family has been haunted by a curse for generations. If a wayward falls in love before their 17th birthday, the person they love dies. Oh, this is making me like a ghost. Sam doesn't plan to fall for anyone in the weeks before his birthday. He'll spend his time working at the Easy Freeze with his dad, cooking up some midsummer magic with his grandmother, great-grandmother, and great-great-grandmother, the Grands, and experimenting with drag with the help of the queens at the Shangri-La, the local gay club. But when a new guy comes to town, Sam finds himself in trouble when they strike up a friendship that might be way more than that. As Sam's birthday approaches and he still hasn't quite fallen in love, the curse seems to get more powerful and less specific about who it targets. A mysterious girl Sam talks to on the phone late at night, and a woman he's only seen in a dream, might have the answers he's been looking for, but time is running out to save the people he cares about. So, this was a really good book. I liked it, but the thing about this book was I found it in my local dollar store. You know, I found a gay story in my local dollar store, which I guess if you live in a bigger city, that's not like a big thing, but it just really flabbergasted me, because the thing about me, and I'm hoping a lot of you also, is when you read books, you want to read books about people whose lives are similar to yours, or people you can identify with. I've always loved murder mysteries because I like to solve mysteries, and I've always loved magical fiction like Practical Magic, which this kind of echoes Practical Magic with the Curse of Love, and Witches of Eastwick. But my mother, she loves reading romance novels, and I never got into that. But I really like this book because it's about a gay kid, and it's about magic because his family practices a family tradition of, I'm going to say magic, not witchcraft, because it's never really defined what they do. And the spells that are shared in this book, it's never really called witchcraft, and it's nothing I recognize as witchcraft or hoodoo or any other form of magic. So I believe it's some sort of family tradition that may be grounded in our world or not. But there's some cool workings in there that I found very interesting. So the first one is Love and Other Curses. Now, the next book I'm going to share with you is amazing to me because I also found this one in my local dollar store. It's called Perfect 10, and it is by L. Phillips. And you see a young man with a unicorn there. I'm going to read this one too, what it says. Up here it says, it's raining men somewhere else. So here it says, Sam Raines is in a romantic drought. It has been 2 years since he broke up with the only eligible gay guy in his high school. To say that Sam is desperate to find someone would be the understatement of the century, which is why when Meg, his best friend, suggests performing a love spell, Sam does not say no like a normal person. What's normal? Instead, he crafts a list of 10 traits he wants in a boyfriend, writes a love spell in Latin for good measure, and burns it in a cemetery at midnight on Friday the 13th. The universe answers Sam not just in the way he was expecting. Suddenly, there are 3 seemingly perfect guys all in pursuit of Sam. There's Gus, the French exchange student, Jamie, the artist, and Travis, the musician. Even Sam's ex-boyfriend, Langdon, might want another chance. Could one of them be Sam's perfect 10, or is the perfect 10 a myth? So again, I like this book for the same reason I like the other book. First of all, it's about gay men. Yes, they're in high school. Yes, I'm a 50-year-old man, but I can dream, can I? Looking back on my life, I would have liked to been able to be as open and free as these 4 young men are in this story. And again, I like it because there's the element of witchcraft in it. So it combines those 2 things. And as you can see, this is actually a book I kept. I loved it so much. And I'm going to tell you a secret. I sat down and I wrote my own list of perfect 10. And I took it out before I did here. And I put it, it was on like a little recipe card. And I put it in this little book. And I put this book up on my shelf just to, maybe manifest it or something. Anyway, the third book that I'm going to recommend to you guys in my top 3, I just read this a couple of weeks ago, and it's nothing like the first 2. This book is called The Red Address Book by Sophia Lundberg. And I found this one in the thrift store. First of all, you guys know I love books, and I love books about books. God, is it right here? One of the books I read last year. Oh, books about books. The Physic Book of Deliverance Dane. And then what was the last one by Alice Hoffman? It's not Magic Lessons. Where is it? It's not The Rules of Magic. I know it's right here, but it's called The Book of Magic. So again, another book about books. I have a couple of books in there that I'm going to be reading this year. It's about an alchemist journal. There's a book over here I'm about getting ready to read. It's about a book about a woman who uses an inheritance to open up a bookstore in a town that doesn't want a bookstore. And then there's another book in that room in one of my to-read piles about a man who has a bookstore on a barge on that big river in Paris. And okay, anyway, I'm getting caught off, but I love books and I love books about books. So this one is called The Red Address Book, and I'm going to read you what it says. Meet Doris, a 96-year-old woman living alone in her Stockholm apartment. She has a few visitors, but her weekly Skype calls with Jenny, her American grandniece and her only relative, give her great joy and remind her of her own youth. When Doris was a girl, she was given an address book by her father, and ever since she has carefully documented everyone she met and loved throughout the years. Looking through the little book now, Doris sees the many crossed-out names of people long gone and is struck by the urge to put pen to paper. In writing down the stories of her colorful past, working as a maid in Sweden, modeling in Paris during the 1930s, fleeing to Manhattan at the dawn of the Second World War, can she help Jenny, haunted by a difficult childhood, unlock the secrets of their family and finally look to the future? And whatever became of Alan, the love of Doris's life? A charming novel that prompts reflection on the stories we all should carry to the next generation and the surprises in life that can await even the oldest among us. The Red Address Book introduces Sophia Lundberg as a wise and irresistible storyteller. I really, really like this book, and I think part of the reason that I like this book is, I'm from the South, and we people in the South, we love telling stories, and we love hearing stories. And I remember being young, sitting I was raised by my grandparents, so they would sit out under the shade tree in the summertime, the older folks, and they would just talk and tell stories, and us kids would be around playing, but we would listen to these stories. And so this is, this is a 96-year-old woman going through her address book and writing down about her experiences in life, people she's met, some famous artists and rich people, and the things she learned from him. And this book here inspired me to do two things. Number one, around Christmas time, I got me a big pack of Christmas cards, and I sent out Christmas cards to all my friends, but I had their addresses on little slips of paper and in emails and in an old journal. And so I treated myself to an address book, and I sat down and I put all those addresses in one book, number one. Number two, the second thing this book inspired me to do is, you see this right here? Every one of these is a journal waiting for me to write in it. So I took one of these journals and I started writing some of my own stories about my own family. It may or may not be something that I'll share with you in future videos. It just depends on the story. But I'm sitting down, brainstorming, remembering things that I want, because I want to write down, and perhaps one day I'll give this journal to someone in my family. I'm going to be 50 years old in September. I'm gay. I do not have any children. I don't see myself having any children. So I don't have anyone to pass this journal or these stories on to. And it's sort of, in a way, it's preserving my legacy in a way, more personal than these videos that will probably live on way longer before me. And the information I give you guys that you write in your journals, I hope you're saying, hey, I got this idea, or I got this spell from Carolina Dean off of YouTube or off of his website. So, I can kind of be remembered. But anyway, I'm hoping that one day, I have 3 brothers, and they have children. Some of them I haven't even met because I've been gone so long. But maybe perhaps one day I will pass that journal down to one of my brother's children, and they'll have this knowledge of their family that I have preserved. And then honorable mention, I should maybe just call this top 4 books. For all those of you who are bone readers or who want to be bone readers, this book here, I read it way back in probably February or March, so it's not so fresh in my mind. I really hate the way that glow is making me look. But again, for you people who are bone readers and who want to be bone readers, I recommend the book called 13 Bones by Tish Knapp, and that's Tishknapp. Let me pull up the photo for you first. This is what the cover of the photo looks like. Cover of the book looks like. And then let me go back to Amazon and read you the description, because like I said, I read this months and months ago, and I love the story, but it's not fresh in my mind. God, I'm getting old. Okay, here we go. This is the description from Amazon. Macedonia inherits 13 bones that direct the future of the people connected with the Maison Rouge Hotel in New Orleans. A storm at sea, a murder, a white girl bought for $500, a revelation of biological parentage, an ancient document that answers a present-day question. All these things bring a family separated for many generations back together again. So, I really liked about this book is how this woman put so much faith into her bones and how it changed her life. I don't want to give you too many spoilers. I'll give you one spoiler, and if you don't want to know, maybe skip ahead. Within the context of this story, these bones are passed down, I believe, from mother to daughter through generations. And at one point when, unfortunately, one woman is brought to America as a slave, she smuggles the bones from Africa to America in her vagina. And this woman here messed it. But when she gets here, there's only 12 bones. And then the woman gets pregnant and has a daughter, Macedonia, and when Macedonia is born, she has that 13th bone in her hand, and the bones are restored, and she becomes the bone reader when her mother passes away or whatever. It's a very, very good story. Anyway, those are my top 4 books that I read in 2022, and I highly recommend them if you like these kinds of stories. Anyway, what are you reading now, and what do you plan on reading in 2023? I'd like to hear from you. Give me your recommendations, and y'all have a great day, everybody.